people. The Anu were Nubia's earliest known ancestors. Okay, they were the keepers of sacred knowledge and the first dreamers of the stars. And today we're gonna go back about 7,000 years to uncover their legacy. See what I'm saying? We're gonna get into that. And so now, now here is a diagram that I've seen many times. This is the first line here. This little circle is Het. Okay, Het, that is a house. Het U, or see those lines multiple. That's temple. Line 2 here. That's Set, or the god of Set. And get this: before the origins of, before the dynasties, before the old kingdom, Set was that guy. And then we have Net Anu. Okay, the cities of Anu, or of the Anu's people. So it was a city, not a village, not some primitive location. This was a city. And whenever you see the circle with the little X in the side of it, that is a location, that is a place. And Terra Netter, or Ta Netter. Okay, that is the land of God, or devoted to God, Terra Ta Netter. Okay, so this was the breakdown of this image here. Now, the Anu appear in temple inscriptions and early records as they was recognized as the people of the south. They inhabited Nubia and Upper Egypt, stretching from the deserts of the south to the Nile Valley. Their name appears in the Meta Nature, linked to cities such as Ensa, Heliopolis, Hermonthis, indicating their profound role in earlier settlement, governance, and spiritual life. It What's going on, brother? What's going on, brother Edwin? Yeah, you kind of late. Good evening. Shout out to brother Moore. He's awesome. You know what I'm saying? He's good people. So I like to poke fun at him. You know, but you kind of came just in time. You know what I mean? Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you guys are here. So let's get it. Let's go. and matter of fact, he threw his name. No. See, fam. You see this, brother Moore? He's already trying to cheat. He already has his hand up, like he's saying here. No, I haven't checked roll yet. No, sir. No, sir. like the students at the high school. There's did you check roll yet? No. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. We just got home. Just got home. It's cool. It's cool. You know, we out and about, understand. So he's doing great, wonderful things in the community. Shout out to Brother Moore. He's a great person. So he's real cool. But he's still trying to finesse the system by saying he's here. No, sir. Yeah. All right. So now the Anu people, they were recognized and seen as people of the South, and get this, scholars like Herodotus and many historians describe them as dark-skinned, bow-bearing people, Ta Seti, the land of the bow. It was often depicted as builders, herders, and warriors. But beyond their physical and cultural traits, the Anu were initiates of sacred knowledge. They had this information. They had it in their possession. They may have been the first to integrate astronomy, agriculture, and ritual, forming a blueprint that later people of Kemet and Egypt would expand into temples, pyramids, and star-lined sanctuaries. Get this, fam. We have to realize that Kemet did perfect the science, but they didn't make it. The people, hear me, the people of Kemet, they may have perfected it and put it in stone and everything, but they were not the originators of it. See what I'm saying? They received that information from their parents and their grandparents in Nubia and Ethiopia. Now, granted, yeah, the people of Kemet, they made it, they made it nice, but the raw version, the prototype of it all, came from Nubia. So think about living 7,000 years ago, standing in the desert with nothing but cattle, and you're firing the stars above. How would you map? I got a question. How would you map the heavens? How would you see it? How would you observe that? See what I'm saying? And there's been times, we would go to my family's land out there in Arkansas in at night and see all the stars. And think about that's laced with a little pollution. But think about the air is pure, the sky is clear, you see everything. Think about that. And so, in like Napta Playa in southern Egypt, near the modern Sudanese border, is one of the earliest known astronomical sites on Earth. Its stone circles, alignments, and ceremonial sites predate the pyramids by a millennia. I didn't say the Sphinx though, but it predates the pyramids by a millennia. Scholars suggested the Anu people were either the builders or the intellectual forebears, the founders of the people who constructed this cosmic landscape. This is a side view, a side angle of Napta Playa. This, as you can see, just on here, this was not haphazard. They just didn't throw stones together. There is borders. There's bordering space right here, and I wonder what these stones were aligned to. And so they in Napta Playa, they saw the stones and they put them together and but the summer solstice and sunrise, others would point to Pleiades and Taurus or even Orion's belt. So this wasn't just decoration. This wasn't just decoration. It was practical celestial navigation. So we know for sure that Napta Playa was aligned with two major constellations. Two. Now get it. The pyramids was aligned to one, which is Orion. But Napta Playa is aligned with two. Will it be a third? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was practical. This was practical. This was something. So I think out there you have a direct line to God. Yeah. Yeah, being out, man, out there in nature, no distraction, no technology at all, of course, no modern technology in a sense. Yeah. Yeah, it was deeply connected, deeply rooted, right? Think I I'm really just I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but yeah, me and my family we used to go to like I said, go to Arkansas. And there was a time, they didn't have I know story time. They didn't have a trash like a little, trash garbage people to pick up trash. We burn trash and we do it at night. And to see the stars at night like that, it changes the way you see things. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. And so, and now the dealing with the Anu, the sacred science of the Anu, the rising of Sirius, signaled the coming of seasonal floods, critical for grazing cattle and sustaining early agriculture. So, but I'm gonna tell you this: we got the book here, Black Genesis. We're gonna get a few excerpts from the book. Also, this is not just what I think; it's what I know and what I've read. The Anu genius lies in their ability to observe the cosmos with a spiritual lens, with a sacred eye, or like people would say, a third eye. The stars were clocks, they were calendars, they were sacred guides, they were the celestial mothers and cosmic judges. And get this in the pyramid text it says, "O Hathor, lady of the sycamore who stretches across the sky, may you receive the king into your arms as your horns carry the sun into eternity." That's pyramid text. Notice the imagery. The sky is seen as a cow. The stars is seen as nourishment, and the sun as a life-giving power. The Anu lived in that world. There was no separation between there was no separation between physical and spiritual. They was all the same to them. Okay, they lived in a world where survival, ritual, and the cosmos were inseparable. But now, we have Hathor, Taurus, and the Anu lineage. Hathor, okay, Hathor, the celestial cow goddess, embodies fertility, joy, music, and cosmic order. She is often depicted with horns, circling the solar disk. As you can see that image of the cow with the horns and the sun is rising right there. That's pretty cool. When I saw that, I said that looked like Hathor right there. right? And so symbolizing the union of the sky and the sun, but Hathor's story, it begins with Nubia and the Anu people, who may have seen her as the protoforms of his goddess long before she became the say the Egyptian Neteru Heteru. Bars. So Pleiades star cluster in Taurus, associated with the seven Hathors, also traces its spiritual roots to Anu star worship or star veneration. Six of these stars are easily visible, and the seventh faintly hidden, paralleling the mythic six sisters and the hidden one in Egyptian tradition. Okay, now dealing with the sacred cattle and cosmic symmetry. Cattle were central to Anu society. Hers were not just substance, they were symbols of life, fertility, and cosmic harmony. Stone cattle burials and Napta Playa reveal ceremonial attention, and ritual reverence. Hathor's depiction as a cow mirrors this. She is both the nurturer and cosmic mother. The Anu understood the interdependence of Earth and sky, the rising of Pleiades or Orion signaled to move the cattle to new pastures. It's time to go on. They were very nomadic, but that whole land was theirs, and that whole land belonged to their ancestors. So they knew where all the sacred spaces were. Okay. The rising of Pleiades or Orion signaled when to move cattle to new pastures, linking to practical survival with sacred timekeeping. They knew when certain stars rose between the stones here, it was time to go. Or it's time to come back. Right? Now we in some of these cattle industry, they will overgraze land to where it almost kills it. And so the hymn of Hathor says, "The sky is your body, O great cow. Your milk is the river of stars. You nourish the gods, you nourish the souls, the ancestors. You nourish the earth with heaven's waters." Right? That's what the hymn of Hathor says. But here we go. The Anu as ancestors of Kemet. Now, Brother Volta mentioned something earlier. He mentioned that we don't have time, or we don't spend a lot of time arguing the fact, maybe and maybe not, the people of Egypt were black. The Anu, who were Nubian, who were Sudanese, were the ancestors or the parents of Egypt. So if they were black, the original people of Kemet were black. But the Anu left traces not only in Nubia, but across the Nile into Egypt. Okay. And I think Baba Yakia, he mentions how important the Nile River is when it goes from south to north. It was a sacred line. The people went from south to north. They migrated. Right. And so they were remembered as the people of the first time, the Zep-Tepi. They were the people of Kemet, called the Anu people, the people of the first time, the initiators of sacred cities, the builders of temples, and the first astronomer priests. They were them. The Anu people were the master teachers of Kemet, and they founded and established some of the pre-dynastic eras. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this: some of the Anu people were the Shimshu Haru, or the followers of Haru, who came before the Scorpion King. And so their legacy appears in Heliopolis, the center of the sun worship, possibly originating with Anu astronomers. Abydos, the sacred city connected to death, rebirth, and the early star mapping rituals. They're named there, they're mentioned there. Their legacy appears in the worship of Hathor and the bull, from Nubia to Mennefer or Hetkapata. The cosmic cow is a thread linking Anu traditions with Egyptian or Kemetic cosmology. The Anu's knowledge of the heavens, formed the blueprint for Ma'at, And I forgot to have that picture, but I wish I had it. But there are some people in Nubia, men and women, that have the feather of Ma'at in their head. They're still doing it. Kemetic culture is an African culture, and Kemetic culture came from the South. And so the divine order linking moral, dealing with linking moral and social and cosmic laws. So in a nutshell, they codify survival they put that into spirituality, creating a system that will last for thousands of years. And also I heard this. This is what I heard. Osiris, of course, we know that his name is mentioned in the Abydos Kings list as a real king. And what I'm hearing is that Osiris or Osar was Anu. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like and comment below if you want me to go into that. But yeah, I heard that. All right. and so the Anu, the Anu people, they were sacred. They were special. I think, in my opinion, they were just as important as the Batwa. Okay. So when we see Heteru in temple release, we're seeing an Egyptian innovation that came from Nubia. You see what I'm saying? Could it be that Anu's observation of the stars laid the foundation for all of Egypt's sacred science? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Anu reminds us that the civilization did not rise in isolation. That Napta Playa, Taurus, and Heteru and the seven stars were threads in a vast tapestry woven by Nubian Ethiopia's first astronomers. The Anu people linked the earthly and celestial. They linked the practical and mystical, and the human and the divine. So coffin text discuss the seven Hathors, say, we weave your years, we decree your end, and we give, and what we give, it cannot be undone. What we bind, it cannot be broken. See what I'm saying? But now, who is who is Apis? Yep. Who's he? Yeah, who's this person? Apis, Hathor, and the cosmic bull from Nubia to Egypt. See, long before Apis was worshipped in Mennefer or Memphis, the desert sands of Nubia were alive with the sacred cattle, celestial observation, and cosmic myth. Tonight we're gonna deal with that journey, right? We're gonna trace it and get this. This is a map here. This is a map of this is, I think it's in French, but it says Egypti, right? This is Napta Playa. And notice Abu Simbel. I know you know if you pause it or whatever, you see Abu Simbel is right here at the edge of Sudan and Egypt, right? And Napta Playa, if they go west, Napta Playa is there. So do you think that Ramses built Abu Simbel to align with the stars and the sun and everything? Do you think he knew about Napta Playa? And that's why he put his temple right there? Let me know. Like and comment below. But at Napta Playa stone circles, ceremonial cattle burials date far back as 7,000 years ago. The cattle was central to survival, but also sacred symbols, possibly protoforms of Heteru. The rising of Taurus and the Pleiades mark the seasonal events critical for herding and agricultural cycles. Let me see. Yeah, very elusive, very elusive. But we're gonna figure them out today. We're gonna do that today. All right. And Hathor embodies fertility, joy, music, cosmic order. Her cow horns encircle the sun, linking terrestrial cattle to the solar cycle. In Nubia, Hathor's protoforms may have been worshipped before the Egyptian formalization. This uh, is a image of a Nubian sister here, and she has the cow horns on her head. I chose to not use Heteru for that because we have living images that are still doing the same thing. Yeah. So yeah, the question is, do you think Ramses built Abu Simbel close enough to apply as, in the sense to where he kind of knew about that? Volta says, I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, Isu says hard to say he didn't know because he's reigned for a long time and his wife was Nubian too. Globally Black says, yes. I think so. I think so. I think be, because a lot of the great kings and rulers of Kemet, they gave a lot of love and respect to the ancestors or the ancestral plane of the world. You see what I'm saying? Where we had Hatshepsut, who built her mortuary temple next to the ancestors, who also gave love and respect to Sebek-Neferu. And we had many, and we had, of course, Tutmosis the Fourth, who listened to the Sphinx and venerated the ancestors there, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, and we have the elusive Apis. So Apis is a direct continuation of Nubian sacred cattle reverence long before Egypt. So therefore, long before Western cosmology, considered Hathor's son. This opens another can of worms. I want to know who's his father. Apis represented kingship, fertility, cosmic harmony. The bull was identified by specific markings, treated as a living god, and ritually buried in Seraphim of Sakata. This is the actual sarcophagus at Sakata, and it weighs tons. And they still trying to figure out, first of all, how this stone was cut. Second of all, how they put it in there. And they put sacred bulls in there. Okay. But this was the earlier form of this in Nubia, where they laid the heads of bulls in one direction in Nubia. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Osiris or Asa is Nile affiliated. He is. Yes, he is. Yeah, he is. Yeah. And so we have some similarities here when it come down to how the Egyptian people buried the cattle versus the Nubians, you see, and their temple reliefs and their connections there. And so you see that there's a similarity, but more one is a little bit more fancy. Of course, the original wasn't, but still, yeah. When we get to this book, we're gonna talk about why they weren't haphazardly buried. It was a direction they was facing. Mm-hmm. And so Taurus represents strength, fertility, and seasonal cycles. The Pleiades or seven Heteru guide agriculture and ritual timing. Apis embodies the terrestrial reflection of these celestial patterns. The cosmic cow comes to Earth. That's a good question. Is Osiris Apis' father? We may have to answer that question. You guys let me know. Is Osiris Apis' father? Because we know he's Heteru's son. And I thought, according to, Kemetic tradition, that he only had one, which is Heru. Let me know. Sounds to me we have to do some homework around here. Right? So now think about the sacred bull tradition shows continuity from Nubia to Egypt. Napta Playa, Anu astronomy, Hathor worship, Apis cult, right? Humans have always observed the stars in mirror celestial order on Earth through ritual. But now, this is what I saw. Okay, when I was doing this, okay, think about this. When they lined up, when they saw Orion, they saw Taurus, and then they saw Pleiades right there. They was able to see that. That's why the seven Heteru was there. That's why we have Apis here. That's why we have, get this, Volta, Osiris right here. I wonder. I wonder. Yeah. There is a celestial connection here. Okay. But now, that being said, I have a book. Okay. This book here is Black Genesis by Robert Bauval and Thomas Brophy. Very good book, very insightful. And I figured that it kind of answers some of the questions that we've been dealing with today. So now I think, let me see. It says, let me see. Okay, I'm on right here, page 131. It says that the Sirius is trailing Orion, of course we know, but what they said is that Napta Playa, a lot of these events dealing with the stellar count of the stars and what they saw happened about 4,500 before BCE, and basically it rose during the spring equinox, and the skies darkened at the sunset. Now, the calendar circle at Napta Playa is located at a low mound just off the edge of the plateau, so you can continue to see the star viewing from there while the naphtha is full of the place is full of water. Okay, now here it is. It says, as an integral part of intensely astronomical construction linked to stellar alignments, the cow sculpture may be both bovine and supernal, both cow and star. Okay, that is to say, it may be symbolic astrologically because it is placed under CSA sometime around the start of the astrological age of Taurus. So Napta Playa. Remember, we said that the Sphinx was built during the constellation of Leo, right? Get this: Napta Playa was built and established during the constellation of Taurus. Yeah, yeah. The Bull constellation, usually assumed to be 4,500 before Common Era, symbolic to connection to the mark of this age. So, like I said many times, if they was able to build and establish this site, they observed it for at least a couple thousand years. And then it says and he goes on to say in the footnotes, we can recall that the window of applicability of our calendar circle interpretation was determined to be roughly between 6,300 BCE to 4,800. So give or take a few thousand years. Yeah. And unfortunately, these questions, when it come down to is it really, does it mark the rising of Sirius and the Big Dipper? Unfortunately, they won't be able to find out because the Egyptian Antiquities Group authorities, they took the cow stone, they removed the cow stone from Napta Playa. Okay, and today lies broken in a backyard storage area of the Nubian Museum in Aswan. So they're saying that they can't really know for sure, but yeah, it's a lot of it shows a lot of connection with the constellation of Taurus and with the rising of Orion. Okay, and get this, he says the provocative thought occurs because they will deal with later on, but what baffled Egyptologists when the Old Kingdom pyramids were explored and found to contain no human remains, even more intriguingly, in some of the great pyramids, only bones of cows were found. Further, like the ceremonial complex in Napta Playa. So this was a stellar or a celestial situation. Yeah. Globally Black said they didn't want people to see this, see South Sudanese still well and alive. Yeah. As far as their culture active. Yeah. And it said the level of skill and insight in social organizations, as well as sophisticated astronomical observations, they're talking about Napta Playa, that are incorporated into the megalithic ceremonial complex, should leave us with little doubt that we have in these mysterious ancient people true precursors of Egyptian civilization. This is for those who are studying in the back, page 140. And black people did not write this book. Yeah. Yeah. So they're saying that the Nubian people, the builders of Napta Playa, came before and established Kemet. And of course, we have the stones lined up, and it shows the vernal point where the sun rises and the star rises. I'm trying to find a page where it discusses. Okay, here we go. Now, chapter 6. It says the cattle and the star goddesses, right? And it says Herodotus said the Egyptians were the first to discover the solar year and to portion out its course in 12 parts. They obtained the knowledge from the stars. And the Maasai. They mentioned the Maasai here. The Maasai of Eastern Africa are well-known herders who do not practice agriculture, yet their lives are completely interwoven with the cattle. Yeah, their protein intake, milk, blood, and sometimes meat is almost totally derived from the cattle. Okay, now bones and stones. There's a section that says bones and stones. Fred Windroff, they talk about Napta Playa, and his team discovered dozens of dozen tumuli on the west side of the site, which contained dismantled bones of cattle, and one particular case, the complete skeleton of a young cow. The heads were all directed south, implying a religious ritual. The heads were faced south to imply a ritual. In addition, they excavated the largest part of the so-called complex structures. CSA found contained a huge boulder fashioned in the rough shape of a cow, so-called the cow stone, which was taken later on. Now their team goes on to find something else out. We have also seen that the cow stones, they have long upright stones, emanated like spokes from a bicycle wheel toward the north and the east. Sister Mason said, "Don't forget the incense burner with the depiction of the royal with the yeah. That's the I forgot the cobalt incense burner. Help me out, brother Voltos. Help me out. The incense burner from Nubia. We talked about it, but yeah, they found that one, and it already had Heru, and it had the king had this crown and everything before the Old Kingdom. So that lets us know that culture was already intact. Yeah. Volta said the Messiah closer to the Namatunga site. Yeah, true. But this is what they said in the book. yeah. But now, and they're saying this, okay? They're saying that these stones was pointing north and east with the formalized directed toward the Big Dipper. And the later lines towards Sirius and Orion. So not only Napta Playa was lined up with Taurus and Orion, if you spin the Big Dipper, it looked like a big old cow leg. Yeah, the pharaohs knew the Big Dipper as Mesketiu, the thigh of a bull or cow, and Sirius as Subdet, which is linked to the well-known goddess Hathor in Aset. Orion is known as Sa'u Asa, and this constellation was associated with Osiris and the pharaoh, who in turn was also symbolized as the celestial bull and the celebrated Apis bull of Memphis. Volta mentioned an idea that Osiris may have something to do with this, but what we have found out is that Napta Playa, number one, is lined up with the constellation of Taurus. Number two, it signals the rise of Orion's belt, and number three, it it also is aligned with, it lines up like the Big Dipper. And there's 7 stars here too. So further, all these clues involving cattle and megalithic astronomy, specifically involving Sirius, Orion, and the Big Dipper, largely suggest a link across the centuries of religious ideologies between prehistoric society of the Sahara and that of pharaonic Egypt. So, and we mentioned the fact that Queen Sobekneferu, her viewpoint was not, say, in a sense of the sun, the sun and the moon. Her lineage or her ideology was lined up with the stars. Here we are again talking about the Anu people and the people of Napta Playa, lining their visions and lining their ideologies or even their way of life with the stars. Yeah. And so, more important, he says Sirius is directly associated with the rebirth of kings. And so, one part, and then they said Napta Playa began functioning as a regional ceremonial center during the Middle Neolithic, or 6100 to 5500 before Common Era, and remained in use until 3500 BCE. So, Napta Playa was an active site of science and knowledge for centuries before the pharaonic Egypt. This is 2 millennia of stellar observations. This is according to the book. There's also evidence that the site was visited as far as back as the Heliocene period, 9000 BCE, thereby giving an even longer observation period. These cattle herders was also known as the Ruat el-Bakar people. Okay, appear to have been responsible for the ceremonial complex. So in Napta, they aligned it with the rising of Orion, Sirius, and the bull's thighs, right? And so now, one more thing. It says, surely they passed down the star lore over many generations because they were so dependent on their cattle. It was appropriate that they might have noticed the 7-star asterism of the Big Dipper looked uncannily like the leg of a cow bull. Yeah. And they imagine, I'm going a little bit further, page 233. Of course, the source of the Nile is the Great Lakes, distant south. That's another reason why the cows were facing south. Because the source of the Nile came from Central Africa and Ethiopia. And goes on further, ancient Egyptians represented the Nile as it got happy, a plump man with and a belly, and so they imagined that the source was a cave leading into the underworld, the Duat. Yet the Duat is also seen as a starry world near the Milky Way. The Lord of the Duat is Osar. Yeah. And yeah, Tasseti is Tasseti is the mother of Kemet. Yeah. And then when we get into Kemet, we have the temple of Hathor at Dendera. And we know that the zodiac signs and everything that is at the ceiling of the temple of Dendera. And I forgot about this. Now, for those who don't understand, for those who may not know, from the Turin Papyrus, the Turin Canon, we can work out that Shemshu Haru ruled for 13,420 years before the first historical pharaoh, who was identified as Menes, or the Scorpion King. Egyptologists place the reign of Menes about 3000 BCE. This means that the start of the Shemshu Haru lineage is about 16,420 before Common Era, which would be rounded to about 16,500 BCE. Could it be a coincidence that this is the very date that's found in the astronomy of these the calendar circle of Napta Playa, because this calendar circle here dates 16500 BCE. And then we have Hathor, Isis, the Big Dipper, and Sirius. The entrance of the temple of the cow goddess Hathor at Dendera faces north. The huge gate is flanked by 6 imposing columns, and you know that represents the 6 out of the 7 stars, right? Okay, decorated with faces of Hathor. Here, a woman's face with cow's ears. Beyond the entrance is the hypostyle hall with a further 18 similar columns, thus equaling a total of 24 columns, 24 hours in a day. And we mentioned that many times how these temples were clocks. Mm-hmm. The whole temple was a maze of rooms, chapels, corridors, underground crypts, stairs leading to the roof. On the roof, in one of the chapels, was found the zodiac of Dendera. Yeah. Yeah. All these was linked. All these were connected. Right? They was connected. And so the genius of Napta Playa did not fade into the desert. Its knowledge traveled north along the migration and trade routes carried by Nubians who entered the Nile Valley. And by the time Egypt rose into power, its temple builders, priests, and kings were already inheriting Nubian star lore and knowledge. The idea of aligning temples with solstices, the bull cult of Apis, the calendar tied to Sirius and the Pleiades, all of this can be traced back to the proto-astronomy of Napta Playa and the people of Nubia. Kemet became the grand stage, but Nubia was the first rehearsal. You see what I'm saying? So do you think, I got a question though. I'm gonna type it in. Do you think that Nubians saw themselves as scientists, priests, or both? Let me know. Do you think saw themselves as scientists, priests, or both? Y'all let me know. What do you think? What do you think? Like and comment below. Macy says both. Macy says both. Okay. And Napta Playa reminds us that humans are not just tool makers, but they're star markers. They're star watchers. Okay. From the moment we lift our eyes and we saw the reflections of ourselves in the sky, for Nubians, Taurus, and Hathor were what was more than say a mythology, but they was like sacred knowledge. They was living codes of survival and spirituality. Yeah, spiritual, yeah, spiritual science. Yeah, today it's a little different. See what I'm saying? Because Napta Playa is sometimes often rejected and cast aside, not realizing that Napta Playa was the precursor to the pyramids of Giza. And the thing is, they would say, okay, the pyramids of Meroe were, weren't as grand, but they didn't have to. They didn't have to make a grand scale like the Giza pyramid. They didn't have to do all that because the prototype was not the Playa. Now it was not the Playa, Giza, and then the Meroe pyramids. See what I'm saying? And so they were all connected. The Nile Valley connected. Miss Blue says both. Yeah, I think both too. I think the Nubians saw themselves as scientists, priests. I think so. And so in Napta Playa, we discovered the first astronomers of Africa. They align with the stones with the stars, cattle with cosmos, life with the heavens. And so they were those people. And like I said, they will reject nowadays. A lot of people in modern times would bypass Ethiopia and Nubia and go straight to Kemet, not realizing that the foundation is in the south. See what I'm saying? So yeah, we just got to talk about ancient Nubia, Hathor, Taurus, and astronomers of Napta Playa, and we got some things to do. We got some things to discuss. The people want to know about the seven Hathor in an exclusive episode. Okay. And did who was Appy's father. Yeah, we may have to get into that, right? So we just got to talk about Echoes of Nubia, or that is part of our mini series or whatever. That is part of the Kush Nubia corridor and continuity, cultural corridor and continuity. And Brother Mo asked the question. Shout out to Brother Mo. Nubians and King Tut. Did the Nubians share that knowledge with Howard Carter? I'm saying that boy didn't just come up with all the information just out the blue. We have to talk about that this October. We have to get in there. They may rip Kemet from Africa, and they tried to rip Kemet from Africa. That's why, yeah, they can try, but they fail almost every time they do that. They embarrass themselves every time they do that, right? And so yeah, and coming up really soon, Imams, Kings, and the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman seizure of Massawa in Ethiopia, the Red Sea struggle for Ethiopia. And here's some books. The affiliate links are in the description. Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire, Black Genesis. I got a question. Do you guys want me to do something, a full discussion on this book next year? Because I got something I can't do it right now. But yeah, let me know. Type Black Genesis if you want me to roll with that next year. All right. And of course, the Kingdom of Kush, the alumni and the Ujumbe membership has spoken. Next January, we will get into the book, The Kingdom of Kush, by the Napatan Meroic Empires by Derek Wellesby. This is our book for early 2026. Egypt Before the Pharaohs is good too. It's really good. Check it out. All right. This is our book right now. The Ethiopians: A History. The link is in the description. Check it out. And I'm about to check roll. All right. Ujumbe member. Shout out to Sister Abina Scott, Brother Mo. Shout out to Brother Mo. Brother Isu in One Voice Africa. And get this. Speaking of Brother Isu, he has a book. All right. It's called the Ge'ez Alphabet, Amharic Alphabet, and Coloring Book. That's what I want to see. You guys who are participating in this podcast are going beyond just getting information. You guys are sharing information, writing books, writing articles. That's what it's about. It's not just about you guys just coming here and sitting and getting, right? You guys are learning and applying and creating. That's what it's about. Yeah. I said, makes it that they're currently trying to destroy the evidence of indigenous African origins of Kemet as we speak. That's the reason why we had to be aggressive. Me and Baba talked about how important it is for us to be aggressive and intentional with sharing Kemetic and Kushite information right now. Yeah, it's very important. Yeah. All right. And thanks to the Ujumbe membership, they and for people contributed to super thanks and super chats and everything. Yeah, we got a bonus episode. What is that bonus episode? What is that bonus episode? The Scorpion King, Nubian origins of Egypt's first pharaoh. Yep. That is the bonus episode. Hopefully it'll come out in another week or so. But thank you, Ujumbe membership, for making that possible. So yeah, that's coming up in about another week or so. The Scorpion King, Nubian origins of Egypt's first pharaoh. This will be the bonus episode. All right. The Scorpion King, Nubian origins of Egypt's first pharaoh. Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to Brother Isu. Yeah, he's the one that wrote the book. I'm gonna put that book in the description and all the things. Yeah, but it means a lot for you guys to support. It really does. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys participating and adding value to what we're doing. So yeah. So this is next. The Scorpion King, because of the super chats and super thanks and everything. The Scorpion, we're gonna talk about the Scorpion King coming up. So joining Ujumbe membership, they get a heads up on new content. They get the new videos first, and they get to vote as to what we're doing. And they have a say as to what live videos we get to do. All right. So join. All right. Now, shout out. We check and roll. I know Brother Moore. He's here. He threw his name up, threw his hand up earlier. Tiarka, Celeste Monroe, Sister Macy's here, Sister Linda, Baba Yakia Shabaka, Sister Danita Smith. Check out Baba Yakia's podcast. Check out his YouTube channel, and check out Sister Danita Smith. She's awesome. All right. Renee De Carazon. Okay, Lorena De Carazon. Shout out to Freedom, the Young family. Now, speaking of that, okay, I've been kind of in a tangent the last hour or so. Last week, my mom sent a text saying that my aunt passed away. Okay, my beloved Aunt Clara, she is now with the ancestors, and it hit different. And so, I would like to thank you guys for your support, and thank you guys for being awesome, and so, but continue to pray for the young family, pray for my family. This one was kind of rough, all right. So, but just send prayers and love to us, love to the family and everything. But yeah, so shout out to the young family, and much love to the alumni, Nelson Sandoval, Jimmy Fungus, Kenneth Mentor, Black on Black, King Pharaoh 7683. Shout out to Soul Zenith, and shout out to Library Without Borders. Check out Soul Zenith if you love shopping, and if you want to see what's going on with the books and everything. Check out Library Without Borders. And if you're present and I didn't call your name, comment here. All right. Yeah. I didn't really want to bum everybody out with that one, but yeah, it's it's different. You see what I'm saying? So, but thank you guys for your love and your condolences and everything. Yeah, she is. Says she's now an ancestor. Yeah, she says my deepest condolences. Praying for grieving without suffering. Yeah. Miss Blue says condolences to you and your family. Yeah, she was our songbird. She could sing, so she was awesome. But if you're present, I didn't call your name. Like and comment here, okay? And we just talked about Kush, the foundation, Napta Playa, astronomical alignments, Taurus, and its mythology, Hathor, and Nubian cosmology, the Anu people of Nubia, guardians of the stars, cultural continuity, and Egyptian influence. Cosmic symbolism, Ujumbe member shout outs, and I check roll. If you like the content, share. I keep missing this. Share with somebody. I keep missing it. I'll be in a rush at the end. Share it with somebody that may enjoy it, or on your social media platform of choice. We just got to talk about ancient Nubia, Hathor, and Taurus, the astronomers of Napta Playa. If you want to catch up with the playlist, the Kush and Nubia playlist, I got that for you. If you want to know about Kushite cosmology, I got the video, right? All right. So like and comment below and hit the subscribe button. Now, before I turn you loose, are there any questions or concerns? Before I turn you guys loose, are there any questions or concerns? I know we have the Kemetic Nation coming up. In September 14th, I think. Brother Tony Hawkins is going to be in the mix. He's going to come up. And Theo B, Rock With Me Nation. He's going to come out in October. The reason why I'm laughing is because he's funny, and I love to have fun. So he's going to be great. He's going to come out in October. Let me see. And hopefully, like at the end of September, I will take like a week or two off, but I will be posting videos with Ethiopia and everything, and the bonus content is coming up and all the things. So, but yeah, before we go, do you guys have any questions or concerns? Okay, for those who are still rolling with me, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And you guys are awesome. But I hope you guys are enjoying the barbecue and your people. But if there are no other questions, if there are nothing else, hopefully I think we have the video come out Wednesday, and then we'll go live next Sunday with Tony Hawkins, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, once again, check out Kush and Nubia, the playlist, and check out Kushite Cosmology. Listen to King Campbell Jubei podcast and Jubei Meets Message. Today's message is Ancient Nubia, Hathor, and Taurus, the astronomers of Napta Playa. And I will talk to you later. Peace, y'all.